Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of Escape to Wellness. I'm Dr. Emily Wilson, founder of Sanos Wellness, and I'm really excited to bring you episode 2. I know that we're running a little bit late, and that's just because of technical difficulties. I finally got everything figured out, I hope anyway. But as a one-woman show, it is inevitable. So I'm so excited to finally be able to share this with you. In today's episode, I have a very special guest, the first guest on my show ever, and his name is Marco Palacios Montes. And the reason I wanted to have Marco on the show today was because he's somebody who complements my style and my personality so well, because while I am a very type A person, anybody who knows me knows that stress and I are pretty closely connected. I see him as being somebody who has a very different experience of stress and of the way that he lives his life. So we'll dive into the episode now. I'm so excited to share it with you. If you have any questions or anything comes up, as always, feel free to drop it in the comments or you can DM me. But I hope you enjoy. Emily Wilson, and welcome to Escape to Wellness. This is the second episode of Escape to Wellness, and I'm so excited today because I am here with my very special guest, Marco Palacios Montes. Marco is here, and he's somebody that I wanted to have as my very first guest on the show because he's somebody who is an important person in my life, and he's somebody who has taught me a lot about the idea of just balance and what it means to relax after being really stressful and type A in my life. Because if anybody in my life who knows me knows that I'm pretty type A, if not totally type A. And if there were an opposite, I would say it was someone like Marco, because Marco, to me, when I see Marco, he's extremely relaxed. He has such a great sense of taking in the whole rather than focusing on little things that might stress him out or make him, might overtake his awareness. And so that's something that I have learned a lot about in the course of our time together. And so I'm really excited to have him here. So again, Marco Palacios Montes, welcome. How are you today?
Good, pretty good.
Yeah?
How are you?
Yay, I'm great, thank you. So let's start by just letting people get to know you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and how you're doing today. I know it's a big
doing
ask.
Great. I'm from Guayaquil, Ecuador, and I've been, traveling around since I was 12. First destination was New York, and everything started there. The movement.
The movement?
The movement started when I was 12.
So when you say the movement, what do you mean?
Well, just the notion of movement, the notion of impermanence, the notion of things changing, the notion of change being part of, of life. I mean, just being there and just realizing that, there's more. That's pretty much what's going to happen, things are going to change. So that's what started early,
Yeah. Yeah, I know that. I mean, you've shared with me that you moved to the States. Well, the first time you came to the States, you were between 12 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
So you were a kid, and this was your first time in another country, and that must have been crazy. I mean, just my thought is being a child and being in a whole nother place would be kind of overwhelming.
It was different. The city, in December or in winter, it's just something else, something I never experienced. It was a shock. Not so much the cultural shock, because I used to watch a lot of MTV, but it was more like, the winter. That was it, and not being at home, and like
Yeah.
everything different, like out of your element.
Right.
Trying to adapt.
Everything is totally different. And you're also in the middle of winter. One thing that you have shared with me is your experience of living in Tijuana and then going to school in San Diego, which it floored me because I, growing up in the States and mostly living in the States, I'm not somebody who's had to cross. We have a couple of cats in the room tonight, Celia and Leonidas, and they are playing hard right now. So you might hear some weird noises in the background. It's just them.
Yes.
But what I'm sharing right now is Marco's experience of living in Tijuana and going to school in San Diego, and how that must have been just like crossing an international border 5 days a week just to like live your life and go to school, because I don't know, a lot of people, I never had to do that. So that to me was so,
Well,
I just,
it was, in order to continue living in that area, I had to live in Tijuana because it was cheaper. It was really hard to study and work and live, and I didn't want to pretty much live with people, so I found an apartment and very close to the border, 5 minutes walking, and it just, I don't know, it is different, but in the sense it was just going back to my roots, to Latin America, that was the beginning, that was the top. So it was just, the beginning of everything that I know. The language is the same. Some of the idiosyncrasy, mentality, it's most some of the same. You know what I mean? And it was just easier in that sense. It was natural. Just just be myself. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to fit in. You know what I mean? That was a good thing about that area being, you know, so cosmopolitan because it's a harbor. So everybody goes to San Diego, San Diego. So that was that was it, being between so many cultures that, you know, the only thing I could have done is just be myself,
yeah.
So I don't know, it was nice. I don't think I'm the best. If I'm having having a bad month, I don't think I'm the worst. You know what I mean? Like I know I can deliver.
Wow.
Hey, kids, niños, Celia.
So they're getting a little crazy. But actually, I think something you said is what you just said is amazing. Like, if you're having a great month, you don't think you're the best. But if you're having a bad month, you don't think you're the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, I'm somebody who does that, who I think a lot of us can say that we might identify with our best and our worst, and maybe don't live quite so well in the middle,
Well, like I was telling you, it's just about change, the impermanence of things. But then, if you feel that you have reached a point in life that you need to move, you need to move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, don't I ever.
So everything is change. So just have that in your head, you know what I mean? Hey, they're just running around.
Cats.
And
What are you gonna do?
if I have a good month, I don't think I'm the best. If I'm having having a bad month, I don't think I'm the worst. You know, I'm not, it's about attachment. Like don't get attached. Like the good moments. Like soccer or sports. You see those big teams. You see the best teams. Yeah, they have good times and they have bad times. And sometimes the bad times last a long time, but then it will change eventually. Look at the Cubs.
Or what about your team?
My team has, it has had times, the longest that it's been without winning a championship has been like 10 years, something like that. But, then they won a couple back to back and things like that. But yeah, no,
Will you tell us really quickly who your team is?
Emelec? Oh, yeah.
Emelec.
Emelec de Ecuador. Beautiful team. Great team. Great. It just, a lot of passion, you know what I mean? A lot of passion. It was a place to let it all out.
Yeah. As you know, Escape to Wellness is a very brand new show, and our goal is to really just talk about the human experience and also share one thing that hopefully, if people were to implement it, would make a change in their life for the better. The reason one of the many reasons I wanted to have Marco here is because I see you as being somebody who is so good at staying centered and grounded in the face of everything that happens in the course of a day or a week or a month. Whereas I again identify as being someone who's very type A, somebody who's like go, but then also can, let things allow me to get a little bit off balance. And so I see you as being somebody who's very balanced, very grounded. And I'm wondering if you...
There's a lot of things happening in there that happen inside. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it's like watching a movie. I let the movie play. You know what I mean? Sometimes I go with the movie, I get inside the movie, and I'm like, okay. But most of the times I just, because it just works really fast and just creates scenarios, and I go. But yeah, no, I mean, like, about that, I think about one of my favorite movies, Gladiator. There is a scene when what was his name? Joaquin Phoenix, his character. Oh my god. Well, the character Joaquin Phoenix plays, the Emperor. They're explaining him about this serpent that lives in the ocean. The animals comes to them and start biting on it, and it doesn't move. They bite a little more, and it doesn't move until.
That sounds terrible.
But
it sounds awful.
But that's the same idea. Life, biting, trying to get a little bit of you, right? You don't react harshly. You know what I mean? Until there's the moment to react harshly, because it's the moment that you have thought that is the right moment to attack.
Right, the moment you're ready. Like not that you're ready, but you're done. You're like over that.
In a sense, or that you have found the solution, or that you have found what you wanted out of the situation, and it's time to change it.
Yes. Yeah. So here's what I'm wondering. If you were to look somebody in the eye and say, listen, I have one piece of advice for you on how to be more centered, more grounded, more like calm in the moment in your life, what would you tell that person?
Me, I would tell them, fall in love with something and love it. Give it your all. Like, for instance, I love music, and I play guitar and all that, but I love to listen to music, to enjoy different bands, different sounds, different types of music. You know what I mean? Things that I cannot play. There's a lot of music, so that makes me happy.
So thank you so much for joining us for episode 2 of Escape to Wellness. Thank you so much, Marco, for joining us today. And thanks to you for watching. I just want to leave you with Marco's, tip of the week. which I think is such an important one, because while, you know, for me as a naturopath, I can tell you to drink the water, eat the vegetables, that mindset piece is really different. And the way that Marco sees the world as, you know, things happening and changing, and this idea of impermanence being such a big part of his philosophy of life and his mentality, the idea that he shared, the tip that he shared of falling in love with something because that relationship with that you have with that thing will never change, to me is so beautiful, because it's really about being grounded in something that you love and something that brings you joy. So I invite you today to consider, what is it that brings you joy? What is that thing that you love that you can develop a lifelong relationship with that's not going to change over time? And let that be your rock. You know, we do tend to put so much on the other people in our lives, even on our pets, on our job, on our cars, on our homes, on whatever it is. We put a lot of emphasis on these things, but when we can also take some time and nurture and nourish a relationship that we have with ourselves and with something that we truly love, that right there is huge. And what an act of self-worth it is. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you again to Marco. I hope you have a beautiful day. Take care.